Hey guys, CoffinSkate here, and in this video I want to talk about 10 bucket list games. These are games that I have either started or just never started and always just wanted to play through them, and these are just some games that I would just like to go back to and, finish them. These are just some games I want to finish before I die, and I figured this would just be like a fun idea to do, like maybe every year. On my birthday, because as I'm recording this, actually now I think about it, yeah, it is my birthday right now, so I'm gonna be uploading this probably I'm gonna start this as like a annual kind of thing where every year I post about 10 games that I would like to finish, and then or like to play through, and then maybe next year I kind of do a follow-up talking about the games that if I've beaten any of those games, I would do like a follow-up talking about those games and whatnot, and in some cases what games in a franchise, because there are a few franchises in here that what games in that franchise I finished if I didn't get to all of them. Yeah, I thought this would be kind of a fun idea to do, and yeah, so before I forget, let me know in the comment section below what you guys, or any bucket list games you guys want to play through before you die, and subscribe for more content as well. So without further ado, let me start off with a game that I don't have a physical copy of, but it's a game that I actually played a little bit of, or actually no, I got quite a ways through it on like a Super Nintendo emulator. Oh, there I go talking about emulation, but it's a game I started on a Super Nintendo emulator and I had never finished it, and that is Chrono Trigger. Yeah, I never finished Chrono Trigger. I got quite a ways through it. I got up to like the first fight with Lavos, the one where it's kind of like a boss rush, where it's from my understanding, his moveset is basically a repeat of like every boss from the before that point. That's as far as I got, and at that time I had no idea that was kind of like a fight you were kind of supposed to lose. I was not aware of that at that time, so, but now that with that knowledge, I'll definitely. Point being, it's a game I would like to go back and finish. Or go back to and finish. I just like I want to say about a month ago, I actually bought it on Steam because it's on sale for like $7 or some shit. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna grab that because I never finished Chrono Trigger. So I also have it on the as a PS1 classic on the PS3 and Vita. I definitely like to go back and finish that game because it is a fantastic RPG that if you've not played it before, I highly recommend it. And so, yeah, Chrono Trigger. Alright, next is a game that I've actually never started before, and that is Bravely Default. I shouldn't say I haven't started this before. I want to say there was a demo on the eShop. By the way, rest in peace, Nintendo 3DS and Wii U. Because, recently they just shut down the servers for online multiplayer for the 3DS and Wii U. But anyways, I never got around to playing the full game. I might have, because I know one of my siblings is a big fan of Bravely Default. It's their favorite game of all time. And so I've always wanted to play this. Like I said, I think there was a demo of this a while ago that they came out with back when the eShop was up. And I remember playing that, and I actually enjoyed the demo, if there was a demo for it. So I definitely like to play this at some point, because I've heard really good things about it. Also, one of my friends is a big fan of this game as well. So, but it's a classic style turn-based RPG with a unique mechanic, or like unique I forget what it's called, but basically where you get extra turns and whatnot. Yeah, it's I've heard really good things about this. This is one of the best RPGs on the 3DS, so definitely like to play through this at some point. Alright, next, I have one game here for this franchise, but this is actually just kind of a franchise as a whole. The Resident Evil series. So I got Resident Evil 6 here, because this is actually one I've not finished. I'd like to finish all the mainline Resident Evils. Currently, I have beaten Resident Evil 2 in the remake. Resident Evil 1 remake. I might have beaten the original Resident Evil, but I can't remember. I'll just say that's one I've not beaten, because I'm not entirely sure on that, but I've for sure beaten the Resident Evil remake. I've beaten that several times. Resident Evil 2 original and the remake. Resident Evil 3 remake. Resident Evil 4 in the remake. 5, 7, and Village. And then, like, in terms of some of the spin-offs, I've also finished Revelations 1, both Chronicles games. I want to say it's about it. There might have been one or two other Resident... Oh, Operation Raccoon City. That's another one I finished. I'm not sure if there's other ones I finished outside of those. But, yeah, would definitely like to finish the rest of the mainline Resident Evil games. And maybe at some point kind of rank them all. So, but currently I have to go through Resident Evil 0. Like I said, I'll just add the original Resident Evil to that as well. And then Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil 6. So, yeah, definitely would like to finish the mainline Resident Evils, because Resident Evil is my favorite horror franchise of all time. So would definitely like to finish this series up. Alright, next is Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem on the GameCube. I never finished this game. I started it, I got a couple hours into it, but from what I played of it, I really enjoyed this. If you're not familiar with this is a very unique survival horror game that was published by Nintendo, was only on the GameCube, and it has a really unique mechanic in that, you know, it's a classic style survival horror game with fixed camera angles and whatnot, but the thing that really separates this from other survival horror games, especially at the time, is this was the first game to use sanity effects. And essentially what it is, for those of you who haven't played it, for those who've actually played Amnesia: The Dark Descent, that game has sanity effects as well, though not to the same extent. Basically what this game does is it has like a sanity meter, and the higher that is, the more the game will start to fuck with you, in that the game will ask you to, like when you're in the main menu, or the pause menu for instance, the game will ask if you want to delete your save data, and then the game will fake you out pretending to delete your save data, or the game will sometimes blue screen, or will reverse the controls, turn down the volume. It will do all these things to just fuck with the player. So it's a really interesting game from what I played of it, and there's also some really interesting mechanics in terms of the combat and whatnot. So, but yeah, it's definitely one I'd like to finish. I really like what I played of this so far. Really eerie as fuck music as well. So, and a pretty interesting premise. So, if you haven't played it, unfortunately, this game, last I checked, is kind of getting up there in price. I mean, it's a GameCube game. GameCube, tons of games are starting to go up in price. Yeah, this is definitely a game I would like to go back to and finish, because it is a really unique survival horror game. Alright, next, once again, just a franchise as a whole, but this is just the most recent one that, this is one that I've started and I just haven't finished yet, and that is the Trails series. So the one in particular that I have right here is Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero, which is the first game in the Crossbell series. The follow-up to this one is Trails to Azure. So, I have all the other Trails games. I have Trails in the Sky, the trilogy on PC through Steam. I also have, you know, the Cold Steel games, of course. I played through all those, and those were absolutely amazing. Super long games, but absolutely amazing. And then I have the newest one, Trails to Reverie. And then Trails Through Daybreak is supposed to be coming out this summer, which I'm very excited for. Which, that game, the gameplay looks very interesting. It's like, they kind of blended in action RPG combat, but you can also change it into turn-based combat in the middle of a battle. It looks really interesting. But yeah, Trails from Zero. Admittedly, it is hard to go back to this one after having played the Cold Steel games, which introduced stuff like the Combat Link system and then like the Brave Order system. But from what I played of this, I do like what I played of it. I do like this one. Some of the like RPG elements in this game, like how you get new spells or new arts in this game, is pretty interesting. But I do like what I played of it so far, and I definitely would like to play the rest of the Trails series, because the story in these games is absolutely incredible. So, if you're not all too familiar with the Trails series, it's part of the Legend of Heroes series, but it's kind of like a sub-series. Essentially, it's a franchise that has like this big overarching story that's, I would like to, honestly, in some way, I would say this is like the Marvel Cinematic Universe of RPGs. It's, because all the Trails games are, like, you have the Sky Trilogy, which is kind of its own thing, but still connected to the Trails series. And then you have Trails from Zero and Trails to Azure, which is the Crossbell games. And then you have the Cold Steel series, and then Trails to Reverie, and like characters are kind of show up, or characters from the Sky trilogy show up in the Cold Steel games, and yada yada. It's, you know, it's basically just this big overarching story. So, but you know, that being said, I wouldn't go as far as to say, like, yeah, just basically, it's the Trails series. I would say is like the Marvel Cinematic Universe of RPGs. So at least that's how I would phrase it. You know, there are probably others who could make a better comparison, but I digress. So, but I definitely would like to play through this franchise, play through the rest of the games, and yeah, especially I want to play through the Sky trilogy and the Crossbell games before I hop into Trails to Reverie. I know technically you don't need to play through the Sky trilogy or the Crossbell games to get into Reverie, no pun intended. Because Reverie is just a continuation of the Cold Steel games, but I still would like to know the full context of everything that has gone on prior to the Cold Steel games. So, yeah, if you haven't played this series before, it's they're very deep RPGs, and I can't recommend them enough. All right, next is Dead Space 2. Now, I'd also like to play through the first Dead Space, but Dead Space 2 is kind of more of a priority for me. So the reason being is because I played through the remake on the PS5, which was amazing, by the way. Highly recommend it. And I never played through the original Dead Space. I got a couple hours into it, but never finished it. It is definitely one that is on my bucket list, but not as high of a priority. Yeah, Dead Space 2 is one I'd like to go back to, or I'd like to start, because I really enjoyed the remake on the PS5. And this is one I would definitely like to start at some point. Yeah, from what I've heard, the first game is still better, but this is still supposed to be a really good game, so definitely have to try this out. So, and of course I had to get the limited edition, which includes Extraction. I definitely want to play through Extraction as well. You know what, let's go with this next. Again, this is more of just a franchise as a whole. This is just the newest entry that came out, and that is the Final Fantasy series, so I got 7 Rebirth right here. So I wasn't going to mention this one, because this is a game I was planning on playing through anyways, regardless of this. It was going to be the next game I play through, because currently I'm playing through Persona 3 Reload. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to move on to this. The Final Fantasy series is one I'd definitely like to sit down and just run through and finish. I have, at this current point in time, I've only beaten Final Fantasy 1, 9, 13, 15, and 16. And I'm specifically speaking towards the mainline Final Fantasy games, but I'd also like to finish, or I've also beaten Crisis Core, and the original and the remake on PS5, and Dissidia on the PSP, which is amazing. Yeah, this is the newest one. Did I say I finished? Yeah, Final Fantasy 16 is also one I finished. I'm not sure if I said that a moment ago, but yeah, this is the most recent one that came out. This will be the next Final Fantasy game I play through. I'm at least basically caught up with Final Fantasy 7 in terms of the story, because yeah, like I started Final Fantasy 7, I never finished it, but I'm at least fully caught up to where the remake project is. Currently, this game ends off at the end of Part 1, or the first disc of the original Final Fantasy 7. Yeah, that being said, that's where I stopped on Final Fantasy 7 on the original. So now once I finish this up, I'll probably go back and finish up Final Fantasy 7. But yeah, I never finished the other numbered Final Fantasy games, and that is definitely a goal of mine. I'd like to finish all the mainline Final Fantasy games. So yeah, or all the numbered ones, I should say, at least. There are definitely a couple other spin-offs I'd like to play through. Like I'd like to play the Final Fantasy Tactics. Some of the Crystal Chronicles looked like a lot of fun. I'd like to play through the other Dissidia games, minus NT. I'm not a huge rush to play that one. So, honorable mention though, I will make I will bring up one honorable mention, maybe two or three others, because there's a few others I want to bring up, but the Dragon Quest series, I've been really wanting to check that series out. I remember playing a little bit of Dragon Quest IX when I was a kid, and I liked that, so yeah. Alright, next is Cloa Fantasy Ry series. I started the first Cloa game on here. I never finished it. It's definitely one I'd like to finish because this is such a adorable game. I can't be mad playing this. It's such a fun game. Yeah, if you never played the Cloa games, if you have PlayStation Plus Premium, this game is on there. And apparently, from what I can tell, this has a very easy platinum trophy, so you could easily platinum this on both PS4 and PS5. So, but I like what I've played of it. It's such an adorable game, such a happy game as well. I've heard it gets really sad, but yeah, I really like what I've played of it so far. Yeah, I definitely like to finish this. Soundtrack is very catchy as well. All right, next is Soul Hackers 2. Never finished this game. I definitely would like to, because like the story and the characters are fantastic. That's the main reason why I want to finish this game, is because I like the story and the characters. The story and the characters are super interesting, but the gameplay is where this game really suffers. But it's, like I said, the characters and the story that I really want to go back to with this game, because it's super interesting. How like they have how it's, if you're not familiar with this game, the concept of this game kind of revolves around like a futuristic envisioning of the internet, if that makes any sort of sense. But you know, with the typical SMT affair where you are, you know, fusing demons together to make more powerful ones. However, the way they work in this game is different compared to other SMT games and even other Persona games, in that they actually work more like the Persona games, or like how the Personas work, where each character kind of has like a demon they can equip. So I don't know, it's very interesting. This is technically part of like the Devil Summoner series as well, because there's some connections to like the Raito Kusunoha games. So, but yeah, Soul Hackers 2 is definitely one I'd like to finish up at some point. So. And lastly, of the main games I want to bring up is Fatal Frame. I never finished the original Fatal Frame, which, by the way, I've started a Let's Play of this, and yeah, I never ended up going back to finishing it. So, I'm sorry for those of you who actually watched that and enjoyed it. I'm sorry for not finishing that Let's Play, but it's definitely one I will go back to and finish up. But this game is so cool. Even though I haven't finished it yet, this is probably one of my favorite horror franchise, or one of my favorite horror games. It's so fucking cool. If you're not familiar with the Fatal Frame series, it is a survival horror franchise. It's more based around ghosts and the paranormal and whatnot. The combat involves just taking an old ass camera and taking pictures of ghosts. As silly as it may sound, especially compared to other survival horror games where you're going in with guns and whatnot and just limited ammo, or like in the case of Dead Space, you're using engineering tools and stuff like that. This game, you're going into it with a camera. You're going into a haunted house or haunted mansion with a camera. Which again sounds super silly, but it's actually really cool. And like some of the ghosts are there just to keep you on your toes, kind of to just startle you. It's so interesting. And currently, I'd like to play through this entire franchise, but this one sticks out in particular because I never finished it, and it's one that I've started a Let's Play for, and I got quite a ways through it. I just never finished it. So probably because this game I got really frustrated with, and actually since then I have gone back and kind of I've kind of gotten into like a better position to kind of continue on playing it. So, but in terms of the game itself, so because like I have more healing items and stuff. So, but I really like this game. If you haven't played it yet, you can. Unfortunately, the Fatal Frame games on the PS2 are starting to go up in price. Last I checked, these games can be like $100, and can kind of go up above that. The first two Fatal Frames are also on the original Xbox. I think those ones are a little cheaper, but don't quote me on that. But if you don't want to pay close to $100 or around $100 for a physical copy for the Fatal Frame games, obviously there's emulation, but you can also play them on. They're also available as PS2 classics on the PS3. So yeah, at least for the first three. Fatal Frame, Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, and Mane of Black Water, which are the most recent ones. Those are available on everything. And the physical copies for them on the PS4, you have to get them through PlayAsia. But the physical copies for them on PS4 and Switch tend to go for like $50, $60. So, but yeah, that being said, this is a great game, and I definitely want to go back to it and finish it. Alright, two games I want to bring up because they were just on my mind. I didn't pull them out because I didn't think I'd probably bring them up, but figured mine as well. Scarlet Nexus and God of War Ragnarok. Scarlet Nexus is one that... So, like, the combat is, like, the best thing about it. The combat's actually pretty fun, and really satisfying. The story isn't, like, amazing, and same, like, the characters aren't, like, the best, but the combat is really fun, and the soundtrack is very good. So, it's a game I like to go back to. And God of War Ragnarok, yeah, I have not finished it yet, and I definitely would like to, because I really enjoyed God of War 2018. It was such a great game. As for God of War Ragnarok, I never got around to finishing it, so, mainly because it just felt more the same in terms of the combat, yeah, it's one I would like to go back to and finish. I think the story is really interesting in that one, so, but yeah, so, there you have it. Those are, 10 games, as well as some honorable mentions, that I would like to finish, I'm hoping to at least get most of them finished before next year, before, today, so, before, my birthday, so that I can, you get the point, so, but yeah, there you have it. Let me know in the comment section below what bucket list games, that you guys have, maybe you guys can give me some recommendations. Just let me know, I'd like to know, so, there you have it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you did, and dislike it if you didn't like it. All the power to you. So there you have it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. I'm CoffinSkate signing off, and have a great rest of your day.